Welcome to part 2 of our latest boat maintenance video, this series being mainly focused on rig maintenance. In part 1 we had taken down the rig where we found some pretty nasty surprises, like this cracked swage. This led us to de-rigging everything so that we could give the entire rig a major overhaul. We removed the hydraulic furling motors and also the outhaul hydraulic cylinder. Then started to dismantle all the hydraulic systems ready for a complete rebuild. We also had the boat shrink wrapped, ready for winter. I have started now on the other furler. This is the Genoa furler. As a reminder, this is the Genoa hydraulic furling motor and gearbox, which is situated at the lower end of the furlex system. They say in the manual that when you dismantle these you should be in ideal workshop conditions. What do you think? Do you think I've got an ideal workshop? Okay, well that one's not so bad. We've got a bit of brown grease in there, which is never a good omen. And around the motor itself it's looking pretty good. Okay, so having taken the motor out, I've soaked these in WD-40. Hopefully they'll come out. We'll take this adapter off. Let's see if we had water ingress in this one like we had in the cutter. Ah yeah, there we go. Now this looks much healthier. The grease is clearly old, but that has not got water in it. Oh, interestingly, they put these plastic seals that go between stainless steel and alloy to stop the corrosion. Very, very important piece if you want your things to last. Alternatively, you just cover it with test gel. So this bearing has just come out, and that is looking fine. No signs of any corrosion on here, so I don't think there's been any water in this. Ugh. Look at that. Like wiping babies' bottoms. In fact, worse, because this is not water soluble. Here we have two very slim, very damn delicate shimming washers. Very careful to try to get these off without breaking them. They're just a few thou thick. There's actually two of them there. Okay, that's this side done. Now I shall get all the worm drive out. And for the third and last time, out comes the worm drive, hopefully. A worm drive. This one looks like good grease. It's not in the least bit, well, it's not got any water in it. Very good. So 1 out of 3 we have with no water leak. Not really a good record, is it? Okay, I shall turn the camera off now. I'm being a bit naughty this morning. I'm on the next door neighbour's boat. Why? Because I need a flat surface to wash the carpets. Now, before you all think bad things of me for coming on someone else's boat, this boat, believe it or not, is an insurance write-off. So the owner's trying to get the insurance to pay for it 100%. So at the moment, it's not really owned, if you ask me. Is it the insurance company? Is it the owner? Am I cheeky? Yes. First of all, give me a quick vacuum. Stain remover in hand. Okay, now for the machine. Okay, here we go. Okay, I used the machine for 10 minutes. It's a bit of a pussy machine. I mean, all it does is spray a bit of water on and suck it off. And there's nothing. So, as usual, I've designed my own method for cleaning carpets. It's wash-off time now. Ooh, look at that black. Now, this is an interesting piece of carpet because it has both where I exit from my immaculately clean engine room and where Juana gets into her bed. So I'm quite interested to see which is the dirtiest. Okay, ready to vote? This is Juana's bedroom end. Oh, look at that black! I knew it. Just black, horrible. Okay, so this is my engine room. Ready? The engine room door is about there. I think engine room wins. One side of the bed was definitely dirtier. This is the saloon carpet and it's bloody big. Jesus, I'm naked. If this is really how our grandmothers used to clean carpets, it's no wonder we used to live in fear of them. They must have had extraordinary muscles. So that's the exercise done. The sun's down, I've been at it all afternoon, and the carpets are drying. Now I've finally got all the hydraulics undone. I'm laying them out because guess what? Selden cannot give a schematic with part numbers. So I am going to take photos and Photoshop clearly the parts that I want. So here goes. We've got a nice white background. We have the studio set up. 1, 2, 3, smile! For those interested, here are the results. Each motor drive has 2 photos, one for the horizontal motor assembly and the other for the vertical assembly. Today I'm going to be looking at this hydraulic cylinder along the boom, see if I can de-rust it a bit. As a reminder, this is the hydraulic outhaul cylinder that is located here in the boom. So I'm just taking these nice big rubber buffers off the piston so I can paint it. Very interesting tape they've used here. I must find out what it is. It's like duct tape, but after 12 years in marine conditions, still sticky, still pliable. It's amazing. Let's get me some of that. Bow mid, second from gooseneck. If I don't label all this, I'll never put it back together. But interestingly, underneath where those have been, the piston is like new. I like this tape. Maybe it's just a sail tape. Ready for sanding or whatever I'm going to do to it. Today's job, while I have this carpet cleaning machine, was to get inside and start to do some of the upholstery. Hasn't been done for 3 or 4 years. The trouble is that machine is spitting out black bits, which is actually making them dirtier. So, like carpets, I'm reverting to the grandmother's method of elbow grease. I'm on quite a spring clean mission. A little bit of a diversion from winterizing, but I am the king of getting digressed. So now I've moved to the top of the mast. I'm going to take apart this antenna, which looks like it's had better days. So we'll either have to replace or I'll have to work out if I can refurbish it. So far, inside, it looks okay. I just need resealing up again and the plastic painting, because the new ones are €2,000. It's one of these antennas that does TV, FM, VHF, SSB, DAB radio, God knows what else. Yeah, it's lasted quite well up here for 12 years. As bad as it looked on the outside, inside the electronics was still like new. So I cleaned it up and painted the outside. And now it's ready for 12 more years duty as a bird perch and radio transmission. You see, now here is a problem. You see, Selden themselves do a fantastic job of putting nylon around every fitting so you don't get corrosion. Then some numpty comes along, electrician, technician, screws in a retainer clip here and just puts steel screws straight into aluminium, and we wonder why it all ends up like that. It's so annoying. Okay, so now I'm going to take the top of the head off. I just had to take the wind instrument off. According to my rigger, it's just 4 bolts, or maybe 6. So I've just undone all 6 of these bolts. Again, electronics idiot. Place this bracket for the antenna right there so you can undo the bolt. And then, you know what they do, they just put stainless steel straight on the aluminium with this result. Total corrosion. Need their butts kicked. Before I can remove the top of the mast, I need to unscrew the luff extrusion from the tack swivel assembly. This is what that assembly looks like. I already removed the motor in part 1 of this video. Now I have to rotate the swivel assembly to release it from the luff extrusion. So now I'm just twisting from this end here where the motor was attached. My arm is the motor, and that screw thread there is now undoing from the furling tube. As I've pulled this sleeve back, the sleeve here locks two together, so once that's pulled back you can just swivel it. It's a long old thread. There we go. See it drop out? Okay, let's see if the masthead will come off now. Okay, so the tension off of that, in theory there should be nothing else holding this on. Let's see. It's coming. It's coming. Ooh. Okay, time to loosen nuts. There we go. Cool. Come and enjoy the moment. So that is the masthead off. These are the bolts that hold them on. In fact, I think I'll just take those out. Okay, now it should just be a matter of taking this through bolt. This single bolt is what holds the luff extrusion swivel to the masthead. Okay, and it is off. Something else to be cleaned up. Now, my little video watchers, this is what we find inside the mast. See that? That's the furling tube. It goes all the way through. It's very nice and shiny because the sail obviously shines it up every time it furls in there. Down here we have the halyard section, and then the two quite small conduits there are for cables. I can feel an endoscope coming on tonight. I'm going to have a little looky in there and see what I can find. This morning we are taking the luff tube out of the mast. Okay, so we've got to pull it out the top so we can get the swivels out. So we shall point the camera this way. With the luff extrusion removed, Ray now slides out the halyard swivel.
Yeah, that needs cleaning.
We failed, Ray and I, take out the lower swivel for the mast, but we got the upper swivel, the one that goes up and down with the halyard. So I'm going to start taking this apart. The lower one, I couldn't get past bolts on the inside of the spreaders. The only thing I can think to do is actually take the end of the mast off, the bottom, the mast foot, and bring it all the way down through. But it's not only the mast foot that has to come off, it's all sorts of cleats and things. We've got bolts inside that's going to stop it sliding through, which is a bit annoying. I'll do it because I definitely want to service the swivel. You can only do it when the mast is down. Not something we want to be doing every day, that's for sure. Okay, now for the messy bit. Getting all the black off. This is the first pass in the diesel. Just trying to think about doing something at the top of this mast so that not all the water and rain and dirt go down the top, and that we insulate this surface from obvious corrosion it's been getting. So I've just made up a template that goes something like this to cover it with some just a sheet of glass fibre or something. I'm probably going a little bit far, but you know me. Okay, so now I'm going to make a template out of cardboard, which I'm then going to give to Ray, and he's going to make a nice fancy piece of green glass fibre apparently. Like I said, I'm probably going over the top, but this rig is not coming down again until we have finished our round the world. Right, let's see how that fits around here. This is perfect, huh? This is perfect. Okay, I think I've got the template. Not bad. Not bad. This morning it's pouring with rain outside, and we are going to do swivel rebuild day. So I've got the two lower swivels for the Genoa and Cutter Furlex, and I've got the halyard swivel here for the mainsail, along with lots of ball bearings. So I'm going to piece them together bit by bit and see how we go.
All these swivels are pretty simple in their construction. The challenge is not to lose any of the ball bearings and to have pretty good patience when reassembling.
So I've got that ball race in there, so that goes onto the shaft. Then this main piece comes onto here. This point I'm going to be careful. Move that over there and hope it doesn't fall down. Don't fall down. Okay, balls. This is how I did it last time. Well, put as many as I can in first. Sorry about the music. Okay, the last two going in. 1, 2, yeah, they're all in. 38 of them. Now, I have to get this into here without dropping it. Yeah, beauty, look at that. That was easy. And then the last piece on the top, last opportunity to put grease in. And before it drops and all those ball bearings fall out again, we must put this retainer ring in. Look at that, beautiful. Just clean the grease off, excess grease, and we're there. So with the main halyard swivel done, swivels beautifully, we are starting on the furlex ones. First of all, we need the ball bearings in the grease bath. Add a bit of grease, mix it all around. Okay, so I've got the top ball bearings in. Now I'm lining these ones up, just using stickiness of the grease inside. Hopefully keep them there until I put this retainer on. A little bit fiddly, just got to do it nice and slowly, because if you make one mistake, it all fall out. Okay, so I've got them all in. It looks like we weren't missing any ball bearings, which is quite amazing. Now I'm just going to put this in and get the retaining ring on. Then they ain't coming out. Okay, it's in. That's it. Done. So once you've done one, it's always easier to do more, right? That is nice. That is nice. Meanwhile, I end up with one greasy mess. Okay, that's it. Ready to go. Just need the parts from the hydraulics and one more swivel out the mast. So we now have quite an array of swivels here. Main sheet halyard swivel, lower swivels on the Genoa, top halyard swivel on the Genoa and cutter, the two bottoms for the motors, the ends of the booms, all sorts of bits and pieces. I'm excited. I am heading down because the sails have arrived. It's a dull, miserable, cold day. Perfect for receiving a nice present. And here they are, all the way from Denmark. So these are the small top battens, and then the main battens are all coiled up here.
You know, they probably realize they got such a corner on the market, it doesn't matter to them.
Okay, hang on. Okay, right, got it.
And here are the three sails, all snug in the saloon for winter. We tried to extract the tack swivel assembly out the top of the mast, but the swivel donut would not pass the spreader bolts that protruded inside the mast. So instead it had to come out the bottom. That meant removing the mast foot and, it turns out, Several other fittings are also protruded inside the mast. Poof, what a faff.
Now I'm trying to get the bottom swivel out. Decided to come out the bottom of the mast. So the first thing off is the bottom of the mast. Having knocked the top of the rivets off, I'm just going to hammer them through. Next I'm going to apply a bit of heat to this screw we have to get out. Heat and a hammer drill usually does the trick. Okay, let's give it a go. Look at that. Don't you just love this drill? Fingers crossed for this side. Yep, out she comes. So now, as I like to call it, the big knockometer. Will it come? It's coming. That expensive a bit of wood. I'll leave the last bit out with the screwdriver. Okay. Here we go. Oh, look at that. A few birds' nests, ants' nests, hornets' nests in there. Whew. There's the rest of the rivets I drilled out. This is probably Lanzarote dust. Further to get the swivel out, I had to drill a rivet out of here. The motor mounts. The motoring back plate had to be drilled out. And one cleat on this side had to be removed. Now, let's see if the little pecker comes out. God damn it. Not quite. Okay, more drilling. So we're almost there, we've got it that far. But I've got to take these last few bolts out here. One. Two. And now it should, yay! It is extracted. And boy oh boy, that looks like it needs a service. Good. Now should I take the whole damn thing off, or? It seems to have got good plastic there still. I'm not sure I really want to take it off. What do you think? Should I take it off? Maybe I'll take it off another day, not today. The final swivel is at the top of the luff tube. Unfortunately, it looks like this one needs to be drilled off to get to it. There we go. Not much to that. Just a very small single ball race. Okay, luff sleeve, you go away in there, and we'll see you next spring. Cover it all back up again. We are going to get a lot of rain next. Hurricane Zeta is currently in New Orleans, and it's coming this way. Be here at 2 or 3 o'clock in the morning. There's a lot of rain apparently. Don't want to get the mast wet, do we? Put all these to clean up now, just to get the basic corrosion off of the aluminium. One corroded bolt, one nicely clean one. Okay, I am going to attempt to put this bearing over this mantle.
This is the mast tack swivel bearing, which I just rebuilt.
This one is to hold it on. Nice. That's a nice motion, much better than it was. So that's the upper end. This end goes onto the motor by the drive there. And this end goes onto the luff extrusion. So we tighten up the luff extrusion by tightening this, and this end gets jammed in the mast so it can't come up. That is serviced, ready to go. Today I'm back outside again. I've just gone over this steel cylinder with a sander, getting the thick of the rust off. Interestingly, where this line comes, this hydraulic line, touches this main cylinder. Obviously this salt water has just been sitting there. It's actually very rusty right in between. Anyway, I've got myself some rust stabilizer. Loctite Extend Rust Neutralizer. So this neutralizes the rust and stops it from oxidizing again. But they do warn that you actually need rust there for this to work, otherwise it might cause rust. So that seems a bit odd, doesn't it? If there's rust, that you need rust there to fix rust, and if there's not rust there, it might make rust.
And just a reminder of how much surface rust there was on this cylinder when we first pulled it out of the boom.
Anyway, first of all I'm going to wet and dry the whole thing, because at the end of the day I'll end up painting it, and I want to make sure we've got a good bond. So I'm going to concentrate first of all on the rusty areas, obviously, and particularly where I can get in underneath these hydraulic hoses. So there we are. I'm telling you I've got a good key here. I've got a little bit of washing up liquid in the water as well, so it's cleaning while I'm sanding as well. And you can see there's a good key on there now. As the painters say, the key to a good paint job is having a key. Makes sense, doesn't it? So this is me putting on the rust neutralizer, just on the rusty areas. It's quite nasty stuff apparently, so I'm wearing gloves, full PPE, face mask, all that other rubbish. And that's it, pretty well done. Rusty bits have all gone nice and black. Now I'm just going to leave it for 24 hours before we spray some primer on it, try to get it back to how it should be. So I've just put on the first coat of primer. So far it's looking like where the rust patches were pretty good. And now for some nice top coat. Satin black. Oh, look at that, sexy. Trick with these spray cans is lots of thin coats and let them dry. Okay, time to turn it over. Oh yeah, bloody hell, it's heavy. Oh yeah. Okay, lovely. Next job is to finalise this piston. Unfortunately I'd had to undo these 3 rivets here to loosen this off a little bit so I could move it backwards and forwards for painting. But the rivet heads are still there and I cannot now get to them to knock them out, so I've got really no choice but to drill these 3 out completely apart, get the backs off and then re-rivet it. Not a big deal, but just annoying. And then I want to make sure this plastic's good here. Okay, so I've got the rivets out, and then it's the ends I've got to punch out before I re-put it back on again. Really do with a workbench other than my legs. There we go, they're all out. Now, silly as it might sound, the next thing is to re-rivet it. I've got the rivets in one side, I'm going to put the rivets in this side. Just fitting the last of these buffers on. There's 3. This just stops the piston. If the boom goes on its side, I guess, stops the piston flopping over. And we are going to secure them. Spreader tape, rigging tape. One, 2, 3. And there is the finished product, all ready to go back in. Exactly the same as it came out, just a little bit less rusty. I just installed the carriage on the end of the outhaul piston.
Hopefully it lines up with the other hangers there so that they can all run together. Obviously this one runs in and out on the rails because it's nylon bushing here. Which don't look too worn actually, to be honest. The shivs are missing because one's broken and I can't install one without the other, so, or no point at least. The bearings in these shivs were both damaged, so I had new inserts made and replaced the plastic bearing retainers with stainless steel ones. All done in the local Bucharest machine shop for a fraction of the cost of a pair of new shivs.